Hi there. If you're interested in learning a second language and you're having trouble deciding which one, and you've had some maybe trouble studying, watch this video. I've got some really interesting tips which I think can be a lot of help for you. Stay tuned. Okay, so just to introduce myself, my name is Ben. I'm from London, England, and I am a professional tour guide in London. But I'm also a big language enthusiast, and I actually did a degree in languages at university for my undergraduate degree. I studied Spanish and Portuguese, and I also did a year of French. Aside from that, I've also done some Italian as well, and I've already got a couple of other videos up in Spanish and in Italian which you can watch as well. What I'd like to do in this video is give you some of my top tips for learning a language. Let's go. Okay, so unfortunately my number one tip for learning a language can't really be done at the moment unless you're in a country maybe perhaps like Australia or New Zealand, which is doing really well against the virus, because most places are closed, certainly here in the UK. But face-to-face learning classes, language classes, are your best weapon in learning a new language. So just to give you a bit of background for me, I started to learn Spanish in July of 2003. I then went to Spain in September of 2004 on holiday, and I was already able to speak quite well. I had quite a good level of Spanish. Now, I had 1 year of Italian behind me prior to learning Spanish, and I had also done French at school, as well as some classes after school as well with French. So I did have that kind of background. As you probably know, French and Italian and Spanish have a lot of similarities. So if you have studied those other Latin languages, and you want to study Spanish, you're going to have an advantage. And if you are watching and you are a native English speaker like myself, I do recommend Spanish as the language to learn. Why? Because I think it's one of the easiest for us as native English speakers. I found it easier than Italian and French, for example, certainly in terms of the grammar. Once you get by things like the rolling of the R's, which are tricky and it took me a while to do, you will have no problem learning Spanish, in my opinion, as long as you dedicate yourself to doing so. Now, let's put aside the fact that you can't have face-to-face classes at the moment. You can do online classes. For instance, where I studied initially, the Instituto Cervantes, that's like the Spanish government base for teaching Spanish around the world. They have offices in many countries, many cities. They are still doing online courses, so you could go with them as well until hopefully things are reopening again and we can actually learn in the classrooms again. But there are also some great YouTube channels. I'm going to put some links in the box below to help you with that. Some that I found really good, and I think they can be very useful for your language learning. But some other really important tips. Maybe you've already started your language learning, you've got a bit of Spanish, for example, behind you, and you want to expand. Remember, any time you expose yourself to that language, whichever language you've chosen, you are accumulating knowledge without even realizing. You might even get annoyed with yourself. Oh, why am I not advancing? But in actual fact, you are. You just don't realize it yet. Another good tip for learning a language is making friends with people from other countries. If you want to learn Spanish, speak to people from Spain and Latin America. Do it online at the moment. Just practice talking. It's a great way of developing your language. Listen to music and, in that chosen language, and sing as well. Get the lyrics up. You might think it's ridiculous. You might not have a clue what you're singing about, but do it, because it's not only another way of exposing yourself to the language, but also your pronunciation will improve as well. Many people are using the app Duolingo at the moment. I've got it on my phone as well. I'm trying to improve my German and my Catalan. While I don't think exclusively is going to get you speaking a language fluently, I do think it's an excellent tool to have as part of your arsenal of weapons, trying to learn a new language. So get Duolingo, again, any exposure is going to help you. Watch films. Okay, watch films. I did this a lot when I was learning Portuguese. I was struggling a little bit with Portuguese compared to my Spanish when I was at university. And we used to watch a lot of films in Portuguese with the subtitles on, and that helped a lot as well. Or TV shows. You know, now it's different. You've got Netflix. You've got Netflix where they have shows in other languages. Get those on, get the subtitles on, and that is only going to help your exposure and your development as well. Use books. Okay, so I'm talking about books for language learning. Here's one here, Spanish verb drills. Now, you do have to like grammar a little bit. Personally, I love grammar. I love learning about the different tenses. This is a great one. I've got it in the French and Italian versions as well. That is going to help you massively. I do believe that, you know, you have to have a good grasp of the grammar and, you know, particularly the verbs. Learn how to conjugate the verbs in your chosen language, and that is going to help you along massively. Take a particular interest of yours. For example, myself, sports. So I really like sports. What I used to do, and still do to an extent, look at the Spanish websites in terms of football. They have one called Marca, another one called AS, Mundo Deportivo, and just read those, because the kind of vocabulary that you get from sports is easier than if you're trying to learn about quantum physics, for example. So you just keep adding more and more vocabulary, and it's only going to help you in the long run. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope those tips are useful. If you do have any questions, I will always respond. You can either put a message down in the box below. You could send me an email, Twitter, Instagram. It's all in the details, and I'll respond as quickly as possible. Keep the faith. Keep your language learning up. And again, if you do have any questions, I'm right here for you. Thanks a lot for watching, and there'll be more coming very soon.